the finals in the winners bracket. It is going to be HuK versus KiwiKaki, and whoever wins this game is going to play in the grand finals. They're going to face off against the winner of the losers bracket finals. So basically, it's down to pretty much 4 players now, and HuK versus KiwiKaki. We're going to be broadcasting this game in just a few moments.
Yeah, I just want to make absolutely clear, while it is the finals of the winner bracket, that doesn't mean the end of the whole tournament. Whoever wins this does advance. Whoever loses actually has a chance to end up in the finals anyways, although they would have a disadvantage going into the finals since they would have played these players. So KiwiKaki versus HuK, this is going to be an epic series. We've seen HuK dominating people all day. He has dropped a couple of games to players that we hadn't expected him to, and now he's going against the very strong KiwiKaki, who has a long history in Warcraft 3. So he's been around and he knows how to play these games, and he can work well under pressure. So just now catching a glimpse of him right there, we get the backside there of HuK, and can't wait for this game. It should be very high skill level. I mean, you do not make it this far in this tournament without being good. So these guys know their stuff, and they definitely both want to win and get those extra points for later down the road at future MLG events.
Absolutely, and of course there is $7,000 on the prize pool on the line, and HuK and KiwiKaki both very good Protoss players, so it is going to be a Protoss versus Protoss. Haven't really seen too many mirrors today, at least maybe we've been avoiding casting them, but hey, they always come back to get you eventually, so it is going to be a Protoss versus Protoss mirror. We should be beginning in just a couple of moments. I will ask the players if they are ready.
Yeah, really quick, just make sure you guys go to the MLG forums, and you can actually be posting questions for Ask the Casters. You can direct them specifically at us, or you can direct it at JP and Day 9. They're going to be a little bit on. They're going to be on a little bit later, rather, to go ahead and answer some of those if they're directed at them. And you can also check out the brackets on GotFrag. So make sure to go to gotfrag.com to check that out. And yeah, there are a bunch of questions in the thread, but we'll try to get to as many of them as we can a little bit later, and especially towards the finals and that. So yeah, just make sure to go post that. And also one last thing on Reddit, there is a post on there. I believe it was on the front page last time I checked. So go over there and definitely help bump that up, because you know what, more promotion for esports definitely doesn't hurt anyone. So yeah, there is a thread there, and definitely go check that out.
All right, Husky, going out with all the shout-outs and announcements, so I think the players are ready to go, and we're going to go ahead and get this winners bracket finals on the way. HuK versus KiwiKaki, Protoss versus Protoss. First map is going to be Lost Temple, and it is, once again, best of 3.
Yeah, I think it's really good. The map is Lost Temple, because I think that's a very solid map for these players to begin on, and it's a map, I mean, we've said this time and time again about Metalopolis, it's a map that everyone is comfortable on. No one should be uncomfortable on this map, or at least not experienced on this map. So towards the end of the tournament, it's absolutely perfect that it is going to start on this map. We should see some high-level play. I mean, we're going to see high-level play no matter what map they're playing on. They could be playing fastest possible map, and it does look like they have paused the game, so I'm not sure what the issue is going to be right here. So they're going to get that one figured out. But anyways, back to the fact that they are playing on Lost Temple, I think that it will increase the level of play here. And
I think we're going to have a restart here, as the players, I guess, must have had some technical difficulties. Every game always has its own little bugs, and you know, gonna have to restart, no big deal.
Yep, so we will go ahead and remake that game right now. It will be once again on Lost Temple, and then once we get us invited and go ahead and get that underway. Now, I think that it's really important to mention that HuK came into this very confident that he was going to get to the finals, and he could definitely prove that today. As, I mean, regardless of what happens in this game, he's going to be top 4, and so as long as he can keep playing the game he knows, he should be able to beat KiwiKaki, but KiwiKaki has been playing professional games. I think he's even a professional poker player, is what my little notes here were saying, so hopefully that is correct, as there is a lot of overlap actually with poker and StarCraft, as they are both, you know, mental games. And yeah, there we go, we finally got everyone back into the game. Okay, and so yeah, there was just a small minor difficulty there, so we're going to go ahead and get it going underway right now. And so we do have both players in the game, and
we're about to start in just a few moments. Interesting random fact. You guys might think this is a Protoss versus Protoss, but we surveyed some of the players that played today, asked them what is their best race, what is their preferred race, and of course KiwiKaki said Protoss, but HuK said his best race is HuK.
Yeah, we do have a little thing that we had the players fill out, and he just wrote, yeah, HuK is my favorite race, and then also, let's see what it says here. This just shows you what HuK's personality is, and it says random fact, and he just says sup.
All right, so the game is about to start. Lost Temple, this is going to be version 2. Hopefully no disconnects or any kind of issues here, as HuK is going to be spawning as the blue Protoss. Once again, HuK blue Protoss at the 12 o'clock position, and on the other side at the 9 o'clock is going to be KiwiKaki spawning as the red Protoss.
I do want to mention that both players in game number 1, they spawned in the same position from each other. It was just on the opposite side of the map, so we aren't going to really see that much of a different game than we would have seen if that first game continued. So it's always kind of good, I think, to have players spawn in the exact same locations. Some players are more confident in certain spawn spots on certain maps because, like we've mentioned in previous games, your spawn location can really dictate the flow of the game, and you have to have a couple of build orders prepared for every matchup on every map. And so that can play actually a huge role as the players, if they don't have something prepared for that specific spawn location, it can really end up costing them. So it does look like both players are going to be scouting after the pylon, and their little friends there at the watchtower, so they're going to immediately know where each other is spawning here. And so far, I mean, the openers are identical.
Yeah, now let's talk about Protoss versus Protoss a little bit. I know you're a Protoss player yourself, Husky. A lot of times, in my opinion, PvP boils down to who can get that 4-gate out. 4-gate, of course, very effective versus Zerg, and of course, very effective versus Protoss as well. So that's one potential opening that we might see either of these players go for. And of course, we all know HuK loves to play his one-base strategies. Expanding in PvP don't really see that very often. So I think we're going to see some kind of early pressure build. Oftentimes, Colossus early on can be very good, and Zealot Phoenix can be another possible alternative as well.
Yeah, the 4-gate is a really crucial build in PvP, although at very, very high levels, you just have to know how to hold it off. You got to get your force fields right on the ramp. You got to make sure that you aren't, looking away from the ramp. It's very, very crucial. What you'll see a lot of times is one player go a 4-gate and someone goes some sort of other build, either getting Immortals out, rushing to Colossus or Phoenix, like you said, HD, and it's basically how well can you hold that off, or both players could simply tech up to those higher tier units here. So the 4-gate really, though, it puts a lot of pressure on every player in a PvP, because if you are not prepared for that, do note actually that KiwiKaki stole the gas on the top right side. Same thing actually just happened. I think HuK Reactionary did that. One thing that is really that I actually prefer to do in Protoss vs. Protoss, so maybe someone out there who's a good player actually does it as well, is you copy your opponent's build exactly until you destroy that scouting probe, and then that's when you try and trick them and change your tech. So we could see HuK doing that reactionary play right now, and there is a Cybernetics core on the way for both players. The timing on that is actually almost identical there, as both players don't want to do anything too risky. There goes the second gateway, though, for KiwiKaki much sooner than HuK's.
Yeah, at first I saw HuK kind of saving up his energy for Chrono Boost. I thought he was going to start boosting out some Zealots, but it seems like now he's using it on his Nexus, or at least he was. And yeah, he's continuing to Chrono Boost his Nexus. Maybe a little bit of a lack of play there forgetting to use that Chrono Boost early on might hurt him a little bit on that Harvester count. And it looks like, no, he's actually up by just one probe over KiwiKaki right now. And HuK is starting to pound away on that red assimilator. Keep in mind, again, KiwiKaki is the red Protoss, HuK is the blue Protoss.
HuK has not started his warp gates yet, as he is Chrono boosting out that Stalker to deal with that scouting probe. And in Protoss versus Protoss, you almost always want to get that first Zealot out anyways, but you can...
robotics facility inside HuK's base, so he is building a robotics at the top.
Yep, he is going to do that, and that means he should be getting his second gateway here fairly soon. Of course, that means that KiwiKaki's tech is going to be a little bit delayed, simply because, I mean, he's going to get out his 2 gateways right away, which is definitely more safe in the early game. You just got to make sure you don't get out-teched too hardcore, because if there's a couple Colossus, even if they have a 1 Colossus advantage on your army in the mid and late game, that can definitely make a huge difference. So HuK is going a very standard build, and he has not thrown down that second gateway yet. Usually you will see the second gateway going down right about now, as HuK was finally able to secure that gas, and there goes that second gateway.
KiwiKaki looks like he is going to be playing 4-gate. He has just thrown down 2 more gateways. The assimilator does not see the 3rd and 4th gateway, just placed outside the range of HuK's assimilator. And the assimilator is going to fall to this probe and allow KiwiKaki to finally reclaim that gas. And he's going to start to open with some early pressure from these 4 gateways. His warp gate, though, is not quite done yet. He is saving those chrono boosts right now, but he's not using it on the warp gate technology. So it's going to be about another 15 to 20 seconds until it's done. But HuK, critically enough, has gone for a fast robotics facility. His game plan here is going to be Colossus. He cancels the robotics support bay, though, so he is not going to be able to get those Colossus out in time. He realizes that as the forces of KiwiKaki are starting to push forward on that ramp, but HuK has enough Zealots, I think, to hold this off. If he can micro that Stalker in the top and not lose any units, then he should be just fine. But very, very close, intense moment in the game right now for both players. KiwiKaki looking to set up that proximity pylon to warp in more units from his 4 warp gates.
Like I was saying earlier, HD, it's all about how you react to the 4-gate, he realized, oh, there's a bunch of stalkers. I need to cancel that, get an Immortal out ASAP. That Immortal is done. It's going to come to if he can get the Immortal at the top of the ramp in time. I don't know if he can. Yes, though, he actually did push KiwiKaki out of there. So now this is a very sticky situation that KiwiKaki's found himself in, because that Immortal is going to stay in the back, and if HuK can get out either a force field or a couple more Zealots to protect it, he should be okay. And it looks like Zealots are warping in on the high ground, so 4 Zealots are just now complete. So KiwiKaki, he knows what's up. That proxy pylon was placed perfectly, so he is now pushing inside the main base and trying to focus down that one pylon powering that gateway. And that Immortal is going to have his work cut out for him.
This is absolutely devastating for HuK right now. 5 Stalkers and 4 Zealots inside his main. He's desperately trying to get the second Robotics, or the second Immortal out. The second Immortal does come out of the Robotics facility, and Immortals are fairly good against the Stalkers, but he cannot allow the Zealots to start pounding on them. That's why he has pulled probes off the line to fend off the Zealots. Looks like he is going to surround this last Zealot and prevent it from retreating back, but 5 more Zealots warping in from the 4 warp gates. 4 Zealots, excuse me, and it looks like probes all falling to these Zealots as the Stalkers are trying to run away and pull the attention away from HuK's forces, and a lot of probes went down there, ladies and gentlemen. 16 Harvesters, under 28 for HuK. HuK is reeling right now. He's confused. He doesn't know what to do, and there are still 3 Stalkers for KiwiKaki inside his main. The Immortal is just slaying them, though, but the question is, has the damage been done? 4 more Zealots coming in from that proximity pylon.
That was a fantastic attack there from KiwiKaki. I'm not sure why HuK had his gateways powered just by a single pylon, but now he does only have the 1 pylon. At the income tab, it was only 80 to about 800 during that attack. That is why KiwiKaki was able to macro up a bunch of more Stalkers. The Zealots are getting stuck a little bit, but I think that HuK is backed into a corner. He cannot escape, and he's trying to warp in more reinforcements. I don't think it is going to be enough, though, as there are more units killing probes inside HuK's main. And right now, KiwiKaki, yeah, he's doing a little bit of micro back and forth, but that's just to buy more time so he can get more and more units. And you got to remember that HuK is only having 1 robotics facility. He cannot even afford to continue producing out of it. So I really do not see what HuK can do right now. He's desperately trying to make more Zealots, but they're just going to get kited by these Stalkers.
One nice force field right there for HuK to prevent the Stalkers from coming in behind the mineral line, but it looks like all that HuK's got left is this final last Immortal and 1 Stalker. He's forced to use probes once again if he wants to stay in this game, but his Harvester count 17 under 31. HuK forced to GG out. KiwiKaki taking a very quick game over HuK in this Protoss versus Protoss, and like we said, he used that 4-gate, and there isn't really much HuK could do. He tried to go for Colossus. He was forced to cancel tech, but he still wasn't able to hold it off.
Yeah, I mean, in Protoss versus Protoss, there's a very high chance for 1 player to go a 4-gate, 1 player to try and react, and it was good that HuK did indeed cancel that Immortal, but I really think that Immortal came out just like 1 or 2 seconds too late, because you need to hold it on top of the ramp when the units are trying to break in there, but they were able to get in there just fine, get vision on that cliff, and so those Zealots were able to warp in and push that back, and once he was in that defensive location, it was not a comfortable position to be in. So we are going to wait for these players to pick the next map, and we'll wait for HuK, as his opponent doesn't get to pick KiwiKaki, as he did win the last game. So we're going to wait for confirmation from HuK on exactly what map he wants to play, as that game really didn't go his way. And maybe if he had a force field or something in time, however, he didn't have the extra gas because he was going a very early robotics before his second gateway.
Yeah, that is key. If you're going to play 1-base Protoss and you're not going to go 4-gate, then, and you've got to defend against 4-gate, then you need sentries to block off that ramp, especially on a map like Lost Temple. You need to prevent those forces from running up. But what KiwiKaki did, which was brilliant, was he placed a pylon outside at the choke point, but it still had the ability to warp up onto the high ground above as soon as he had vision. So he just started warping in Zealots into the main of HuK and just running those Zealots in and started to take out probes left and right.
Yeah, it's really important to draw attention to that pylon, using the map to your advantage as best you can. He had the pylon far enough back that it wasn't really in range from the cliff, so the Stalkers couldn't shoot it, but it just had the very corner of that pylon so it could warp in the units perfectly. So that is why these players study these maps, so that they know exactly where to place proxy pylons like that, especially for Protoss. I mean, you have to know every crevice, every corner of every map, and it lets you win games just like that.
Yeah, you know what? If KiwiKaki had waited a little bit longer, if he had hesitated in his 4-gate push and allowed HuK to get out that Colossus, that could have been a much different game, because the Colossus could have just started abusing the terrain, firing down on those Zealots. It would have made mincemeat of the Zealots quite quickly, but he just pushed out in the right time and was able to take out that win very easily. So the players have messaged me. HuK has decided to pick Metalopolis.
Good old Metalopolis.
No surprise there, really, because as you said, the players love to pick maps that they're familiar with, and this is something that all all of us really agree on. I mean, if I had to pick a map, I would pick a map I'm familiar with.
Yep. I mean, what I've seen some players do is pick maps they know that everyone hates, come up with some wonky build to throw at their opponent just to kind of throw them off their game. Because if you win it, not only are they mad that they had to play on that terrible map, they're also mad that they lost to whatever crazy build you came up with. But most players are actually opting not to do that, go with the familiar maps and try and play straight up games. We have seen some kind of cheesy builds that you don't normally see, but overall I think the majority of the games have been standard. Players are confident in their playstyle, and it's really hard to get this far in a tournament if you have two